Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, whenever you might be watching this broadcast. If you are a replay viewer, I appreciate you tuning in and watching. So thank you very much for joining us for this broadcast. I am Stan Shields. I am your host today, and I am going to be talking with Miss Tori Jones of Web Design Island. You want to say good morning, Tori?
Good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam. You know, I had a really good friend that used to know that whole line, that whole sequence of words that Robin Williams used to say in that thing. And it was just so funny. He'd walk into the martial arts school at 5 or 6 a.m. for whatever it was, and he'd rattle this thing off, right? And I was like, that's kind of cool. And I said I was going to learn it, but I still have never learned it to this day. But that's okay. All right, folks, if you are joining for the first time, if you've not joined me before on these live broadcasts, please just go and follow, and follow Stan Shields on Facebook. That's my Facebook page. Now, that's not the one with me as the kicking guy, doing that sidekick. That's my personal page. And if you're friends with me on my personal page, that's awesome. I appreciate it. But my business page, I'm wearing a purplish, bluish kind of a shirt, and you just get to it by facebook.com, Stan in Shields, in being a middle initial, not the word in. Some people get that. It's really interesting. Some people say, right, IN. I'm like, well, no, just in. It's my middle initials. So that's a little bit confusing. And also, if you're following us, we are live on what is it called? YouTube. We are live on YouTube as well. So if you have not liked or subscribed to my YouTube channel, I appreciate you subscribing to my YouTube channel as well. So let's get started with Miss Tori this morning. We're going to be talking about websites. Now, websites these days, it's an interesting kind of a topic because there are so many different services and different ways out there to get a website, right? And nowadays, everybody wants free. Right? But we know what comes with free, right? the bigger the discount it is on it, quite often, the less the quality is with it and so forth. If you go to some of those free sites, because there are a lot of free sites out there, things like Wix and Weebly and whatever, that you can go to and you can build a site. But you miss out on a lot of things, right? And so we want to talk with Tori this morning a little bit about maybe the difference between going out and building one of those free sites versus having a custom site. Now, Tori is a web designer and funnel builder. And what do you call yourself? Tell us a little bit more about yourself, Tori. So, and maybe even tell us a little bit about how you got started in this before we dive into the whole website question there.
Well, I've always been a techie, even way back when they had the big rooms of computers. Mm-hmm. I was always obsessed with them, and I was really good at them, so I'd always take computer classes here and there. But I didn't get into web design until about 15 years ago when I had a party planning business, and I was obsessed with the website more than the actual business. And I was like frustrated that I couldn't get changes that I wanted. I was constantly updating things and I couldn't get a hold of my web designer. And it was very frustrating. And then I realized that I liked it so much that I would spend so much time on it that I just woke up one day and decided to go to school to be a web designer. And the rest is history. Oh, wow. And I was already building sites three classes in. I took like 11 classes. I took like the whole suite of everything. And I already had a business by the third class. I was running a business and I was already making money on websites too. So it was nice. I was pretty impressed with myself actually, but I've been obsessed with it ever since. It just suits me so well because I am a techie at heart. I love how technology works and I'm very interested in it. And it's very fast paced and it changes all the time. So you can never get bored with it. And I also have a design quality, aspect to myself. So I love to design and I love, nice things and the way things look and colors and things like that. So it was a perfect match.
That's awesome. I'm pretty impressed with yourself too, because because that is impressive of already, being able to make money at it and having a business just 3 classes in. So, but that kind of fits for you from what I know about you, right? You tend to go after something and you dive in and you're all in.
Absolutely. I've never been more like interested in a subject in my whole life. It
Mm-hmm.
just suits me so well. And I've even had clients for 8 years now, same clients for 8 years. And they're like, we went with you because you were more excited about the website than we were. So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I truly
Mm-hmm.
am. Every single website is like, a baby. It's like a work of art,
Sure.
that.
Sure. That is fantastic. So let's go back to that question. And what's really the difference between going out to one of these free services? Because you can get a website in so many different places these days, right? What's the big difference between going out and building one of those sites on your own and, through one of these services versus having a custom site built?
Yeah, I have a great analogy for this that drives it home, if you will.
Okay.
I compare it to, so of course, they're very big companies now. So what's really happening when you're going to build a website, like say on Wix or these Shopify, or
Mm-hmm.
you're actually building your site on their big giant site. So you're just
Mm-hmm.
basically like an account on their site. So of course
Right.
the costs are low because they provide the overall tools for everybody that you can
Mm-hmm.
drag and drop and use. And they're charging you, probably a low monthly fee. But that's forever. As long as you're going to have that site, you're going to be paying that fee. So my analogy is this. So it's like renting an apartment. Okay, so you go and you rent your apartment, and that's basically what you are on these websites. You're renting space basically for your site. So any kind of traffic that comes to these sites and things, it's not for you. It's not like your own brand. It's not like your own house, right? It's an apartment you're renting. So all the traffic they're driving from all the clients that they have with all their websites there are actually the big company is benefiting, Wix. That's why Wix is so huge, because the traffic is all going to them and their brand. And that's why you know about them, right? And so, of course, they get you in with all these low fees, and then eventually they start tacking things on. And so it really never ends up being economical in the end, because you're constantly paying. And then what happens if this company went down? All your stuff can go with them, so it's not really yours. So it's better to have your own custom site, because that's like buying your home. That's like putting the investment into a home that is yours now. And, it's kind of like the scenario where you're building equity, right? It's like you're building your brand, which is your equity. And so any traffic that comes to that site is all for you and your brand.
Got it. Got it. That's a great analogy. And for people that are homeowners, that analogy really kind of hits home, so to speak, right? Because it's like, okay, now you get into your own place and you're not at everybody else's whim. I had a scenario similar to that, where at one point I went through a whole bunch of different sites and whatnot with my martial arts business before I finally settled on the last one. But it was, and my website story is kind of interesting, or my web design story is maybe a little bit interesting in that I was one of those early adopters to start learning how to build websites. I don't even remember, it was in 90 or 91, I think, right? When I started, I was tinkering with them because I just was fascinated, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. And I started learning how to build websites. And so, of course, when I opened my martial arts business, I said, well, I'll build my own website. I built it, and it was crappy. It was not all that good. And so I had it for a few years, and then I hired somebody else to build it because I said, okay, I'm going to get a professional to do it, right? They did it, but it was one of those where I always paid them every month for this site, and it was basically a template, right? The site still never generated any leads. It was a brochure out there. It didn't really do that much for me. Then I said, okay, I'm going to get somebody else to do it. I hired somebody else to do it. And they still didn't. And it was another one of those, right, where it was kind of a template or whatever, but didn't generate leads. And then I went to a third one that actually did generate leads. And it was a great site for a short period, for about I don't know, a couple of years. And it generated a lot of leads. It actually did extremely well. But I was still spending $192 a month, and those leads started to dwindle. And as they started to dwindle, it was like, okay, now this expense is driving me nuts out here with paying this money and not necessarily getting much back from it. And then finally, that's when I actually hired a local developer to then design a site based on all of what I had learned about websites up to that point, where we then designed my own site on WordPress. We used WordPress, and that's my favorite platform for websites. I think that's probably your favorite too, right? That's what you build on?
Mm-hmm. I actually started back in the day where I used to build on Joomla. I actually built on Joomla for the start of my career for about 10 years. And then I switched over to WordPress, because I mean, it's just the dominant software now that everybody uses. But it's interesting how websites have evolved. Like I remember back when we all had to have one because it was like our business card. Everybody moved online. So it's basically, they just needed an informational site, right? And people couldn't interact with the sites, right? All they could do was just look up your information and read about you. And then, everybody had to get on board because you were irrelevant if you didn't have a website at this point. So I've watched it go from there. And then you started to see how people could interact with your website. They could fill out forms. They could put their email address in and get something back, so they could literally interact, schedule appointments on your website. So that's how it evolved from there. And now today, pretty much where we're at is, which brings me to the next point, is that there's no point in having a website anymore unless you're collecting visitors' information that come there, because every time a visitor comes to your website, that's an opportunity that you could be missing by not getting some kind of information from them, whether it's their email address or get them to engage with your site, right? So they're no longer static. They're no longer, here's, this is basically my business card. Here's my information, So what I've done in my business is I've evolved to where now I'm not building websites anymore that are business cards. It's pointless really nowadays. It's like you're missing so many opportunities with this incredible technology that could really do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Mainly automation, all on automation, right? So it just happens automatically. You just have to plan out what you want it to do, and then you just let it run.
So let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about content. When we're talking about automation, but the automation is really going to be, the automation piece is going to be that piece that helps to continue to deliver content and information to people once they've come to your site. But the content on your site is extremely important to get people to come and stay and interact with your site and so forth, right? And so one of the key things that I think you talk about is knowing who it is that you're talking to, right? And so tell us a little bit about that. What do we need to know about that?
Yeah, I look at the website like it's a story, right? It's the story of where you want to lead somebody. So they come in, and that's the other thing. Everybody thinks that everybody arrives on your homepage when they come to your website, which isn't true. They could land on another page and come in that way. They could be on your contact page because that contact address was somewhere on a brochure or somewhere on a business card or whatever. And they could come in at any point. So it's really not about, we've got to start at the homepage and work our way across. They can come in anywhere. So each page, and this is really important because your website content, the actual words on it, have to be a mix for search engines like Google so that they can scan all the keywords and all the words that are on your page into the internet so that when someone's searching, hopefully they come to your website for those words. But you also have to write for the person.
Right.
You can't make it sound all technical and everything, right? And it can't just be like, okay, I'm Tori Jones and I founded this business and da 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 and da da da. It's like very technical that way. So you have to also have some personality. You want to have a little story maybe, and you also have to have the keywords though for the search engines. So it's a balance. You have to like please both of them, and the content today is how everything's going is usually people are selling through storytelling. It's really about the story. People want to hear the story. It's about the emotion of everything that prompts people to purchase nowadays. So that sales copy has to speak to not only your target market, who you want as a customer, it also has to sell. It has to sell. It has to convert. It has to, turn them into paying customers. So it's quite an art, but it can't just be where, oh, I'm just going to write up something on my website and throw it out there. It's very specific how sales copy is created, and that's where like a copywriter would come in or somebody that you would hire for professional copy. And not only that, they're very expensive, right? So you could spend, hundreds of dollars getting this copy, but you should also be changing the copy on your website a lot because it's a living, breathing thing. It can't just be this static same copy that you had on your website a year ago or 2 years ago, because it's going to, sink down to the bottom of Google because there's people that are constantly changing content on their website, which it's keeping it fresh, basically. It's refreshing it. And Google will push you up to the top naturally for that because they see that you're changing with the times or, you're relevant. They consider you relevant and not just this dead, stagnant, copy that never changed. And so they reward you for that, actually, too, in the search engines. So there's two things at play here always. You're always like trying to please the search engine, and you're also trying to speak to your target market, all your visitors that arrive.
Okay. So we get our copyright. So we create our custom site that's really designed around us. It's our brand, it's our personality, and so forth. And then we get the copy that's on there that really speaks to that ideal customer that we're trying to talk to. Okay. Well, so they come to our site, and we have some kind of lead capture mechanisms on our site. So we do something in terms of a freebie, a giveaway, or something like that, right?
Something of value. Something of value
Okay,
that they can use, and you don't want to miss that opportunity at all.
Well, and it's funny. This is just kind of a side note. I think there are a lot of people that miss. Number one, that opportunity gets missed quite often, right? With many, many, many sites. I don't know if I want to say most of the time because I don't truly know the statistics with that, but many times that lead is not being captured on a site, right? And so the nice thing about it is not just, you mentioned automations earlier, but it's not just capturing that lead, but automating that process so that now, if we know what it is the person's interested in, we can, one, deliver this freebie that we offered on our site, but we then get to feed them additional information via email, right? So that we can hopefully keep them involved and bring them back to the site, like you talked about earlier, for converting to maybe now that site starts making money for us, right? Now, do you build? So were you going to say something there?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is one of the biggest pet peeves of mine that I see people doing with their websites, and they bypass them. They bypass their website. So they're outside, marketing on social media, say, right? And they're putting an article or something there of, or even a product they're putting on social media with no link back to their website whatsoever. They're like, just like, here's this product. And then I see people commenting going, well, how do I purchase this? And they're missing the opportunity to lead them back to the site. Social media's only purpose is to be like a boomerang. You need to take something from your site, like a blog, okay, a blog article, and you share it to social media. So you're not really putting the actual text or information in the social media because, by the way, they own that text. You're just putting like a link or something or an interesting photo with the link back to your website. You're trying to bring them back to your website like a boomerang. You want to throw it out and get them back there because chances are if you get them back there to read the article rather than read it in social media, they're now on your site and they can browse other things and see other things that are there. You're missing that whole opportunity to let them browse your website, right? And also, you're also generating free SEO. Again, free traffic. You're pulling people out of social media and getting them to your site, which is traffic to your website. It's such a missed opportunity. I see it happen all the time. People are out marketing and there's no reference back to their website whatsoever or to the exact page where that came from. Like when you put a product out, you want them to go right back to the product page, not to your home page. You know?
Right. So linking back to the site, that's one of the things that I used to do all the time. We would write a blog article on our site, and then whatever the plugin was that we were using would allow us to share it to Facebook, but all it would do is give a snippet of the article along with the link that now when you wanted to finish the article, you would then you click more or whatever, and it would take you back to the site so that now we bring them back to the site. But
free
even
traffic.
then,
Free traffic. That's free traffic all day long. And you didn't even pay a dime for that.
And you're right in that it's good SEO because now you're linking. You've got this backlink created from this high authority link, right? From this high authority site that now comes back to yours. So that's good from the SEO standpoint as well. Right? And
also, Google is measuring how long they stay on your website. So if they have to come to your website to read the whole article, that's time consuming, right? If they're reading the article out in social media, how's this benefiting you at all? None whatsoever. They're not, all the time they're spending reading the articles out there is giving them SEO, not you.
Okay, good. All right, so let's see here. What else do you want to tell people here? Now, I know that you've got a giveaway or a free gift that you're going to give people that kind of helps them with content a little bit, right? What else do you want to tell us before we talk about that? Anything else you want to add?
No, I just, we touched a little bit on it, but email marketing really is the whole key to the websites. And that's where I'm coming from now. And so I just wanted to speak a little about that. So it's that, offering something on your website to collect an email address. I mean, if you don't do this now, then, you're missing the whole point of the website today. So we do offer this now as well, because we're so, know that this is the way to do things now. So we have full setup now too, where we can set up your whole email marketing campaign. And we even provide you with the starter emails too, that are getting sent out from your email campaign to touch your prospect every now and then, to hopefully get them back to the website, or like you say, or get them to buy something, or just use it to give them a lot of value so they trust you and they they can learn about your products and things like that. So, and we also have a support program for that too. So we're not going to just leave you out in the cold. It's like once we set everything up for you. So basically that's the only kinds of websites we build now is with this email marketing program in place, because that's the whole point of what you want to use your website for now.
So Web Design Island can do it all for you. You can help them put the website in place. You will help them with
custom website
website in place, right? And then helping them with making sure they've got the right copy on there, right? In terms of talking to whoever their ideal client is. I'm actually amazed that I'm not amazed. It's interesting of really zeroing in on who is my ideal client. But I go to network a ton of networking meetings and whatnot, and you'll ask people, who is your ideal client? Who is your client? Who are you looking for? Anybody. That's the answer. Is anybody, right?
Mhm.
Anybody can use my service. Anybody can use my product. And while that may be true that anybody could, anybody is never going to be your ideal client. Your ideal client has certain characteristics about them that if we take some time and figure out that, we then can start to zero in. And when we're then speaking on our website through the copy, we now can speak directly to that ideal client and they hear us, right? There's a phrase that I like saying, let me see if I can get it right here, is that if you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one.
Yeah,
And
it's very hard to go general with something because you don't know what's working. It's just so general, it's so broad, right? You're best to start, even if you think that might not be your target too, you might be surprised. Start with small targets. Like, for example, when I was building funnels, I started with just network marketers. That at least gave me a direction. I knew who I was speaking to, right? And they have their own characteristics that are very, prominent. And that makes it so much easier because then you can start with a target there, see how that goes and, and learn from that and then move on to another one. And it's way better than trying to just throw it out to everybody, right?
That's right. That's right. So you can always expand and change and shift a little bit or whatever, and that's a hard lesson. That's a hard lesson that I've really struggled with learning for some reason.
Yes.
I got it and it made sense to me in the martial arts business when I was in that world. And I zeroed in on the ideal customer and all of that, and I had it figured out. And then I left the martial arts world and started doing either coaching or technology consulting and all of that stuff. And then it got crazy again, right? So now it's back to a point of let's zero in on specific targets, right? So then it makes it a little easier for you to start to market to the right people. So,
and I'm one of those businesses, right? I mean, everybody needs a website, right? Like everybody needs me, right? But it's very hard to just go and, you've got people are lawyers and people are dentists and they're like, oh, can you do these sites? Can you do these kind? Can you, do you do automotive sites? Can you do an artist's site? And it's like, yeah, I mean, they're just websites. It's like, you're the one who's, telling me what you need in it, so yeah, it's very general. It's very hard a lot of times for my profession to try and hit a target market.
Perfect. So now your info has been scrolling on the bottom of the screen, so people can contact you through webdesignisland.com/contact. And on that page, they'll have access to not just your contact form, but there's another piece of information, I guess, instant quotes, I guess, so that if they are interested in finding out what it would cost to get a website done, they can find out right there, right? On that page.
Great form where you can, just select what type of website you're looking for, what you want on the website, what you want to add, if you want email marketing set up for you, if you want, any kind of quote, it's all on the form and it'll show you a total at the bottom, approximately what it would cost.
Okay. Now, is that firm or is that's giving them I'd say a quote or a general idea of what it's going to cost, and then you're going to have a conversation with them to make sure that this is really what they want and nothing else been added or whatever, right? Because
right, yeah, we're very I approach it as we're just giving you what you need, because you can always add later, right? Because as you grow, you should be growing the website. It should be an investment that you continue to build and change and grow with your business. So I like to start minimum. And also sometimes people come up with something like, I really need this to happen. And then we can come up with a solution for you that may not be on the quote form. So yeah, so that would be the only thing, or the reason why we would want to have a conversation is because maybe there's something you didn't think of that, we might have a great solution for you. So,
right. Okay. Very good. All right. So now you have got a a free giveaway, right? That you are giving to people. So tell us about this free iScript. What is an iScript?
So iScripts, this is the coolest thing ever that we have now. So iScripts are, all you have to do is go in and complete a form. So say you need some sales copy for your About Us page on your website. So you go to that iScript. We have them categorized, and you'll go to like the website iScripts, and you just go pick that form, and then we ask you questions particular about your business or exactly what you want, this sales copy to be about. So they're just questions. You just go through this questionnaire, you submit it, and within 24 hours in your inbox will be all your written sales copy for you. It's amazing. So what we want to do is we want you to try it for sure, because it's so cool. We're so excited about it. So I'm giving away, if you just go to webdesignisland.com, it's right there on the front page. We're giving away a free iScript for subject lines for your emails. So when you send your emails to your customers or whatever if you have a marketing campaign going, these help you write those, subject lines that are going to like get somebody to want to click and open that. So we're going to offer that, and you get a bunch of them too. So like just from filling out one form, you're going to get a lot of subject lines for your emails, and it'll just give you a feel for how this works. But we have
subject lines. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have in-depth ones too. I mean, we have ones that can write a whole webinar for you, and even present it to you in a PowerPoint format, already done with your slides and everything. All you have to do is answer questions.
Nice. Wow. All right. So the subject lines, that's a great one from the standpoint that it may also help you generate some new ideas of what kind of content you want to put in emails, right? Because it'll give you all these different subject lines that then may just serve as a trigger to say, oh, I could write an email blast about this or an email about that, or maybe even take that and make it into a blog post, right? So that you could do something like that with it.
Absolutely. I've been using these quite a while, and I'm just like, it just keeps giving me more and more and more ideas, like things I never even thought of, because it's written in that framework of, it's an emotional trigger for people, so, and you can use, and there's even different types of copy that it will create for you is like it could be based off of fear, a purchase based off of fear, or a purchase based off of, happiness or whatever. It's how sales copy works. And it's about 20 years worth of knowledge that are built into these iScripts now. So there's, and we have them, we have like all kinds, like we have ones for maybe an email sequence that you want to write for your email marketing campaign. Say you're like, how am I going to come up with, 10 emails that you're going to have scheduled running out on automation? You've got to write all that stuff. Well, this does it all for you. And it even writes your Facebook ads for you too. So it's very exciting. Yeah. So we want to give a free one away for you guys to try it. And then you can check out the other types that we have.
Nice. All right. So they can get to it through webdesignisland.com. It's right there on the front page. Right
there on the front page. Yeah. It's
perfect. Just come knock on the front door and you can get your free iScript.
Exactly.
Right. Well, Tori, thank you very much for coming on and sharing today your tips and your concepts with regard to the website. And I encourage everybody watching to let's go over and check out Web Design Island and just see what is going on over at Web Design Island. Tori does some beautiful websites, and really even now they have even become more functional in terms of driving business and all of that. And so check out what Tori's got going on at webdesignisland.com. And if you've not liked my Facebook page, Stand in Shields, facebook.com/Stand in Shields. Go like the page, follow the page so that you'll be notified when these broadcasts are coming up. And if you've not joined my Facebook group, it is Small Office home office, you can just do a search inside of Facebook for small office, home office, and you'll find my Facebook group. Just click the link and join. You're going to have to just fill out a couple of questions there. It's not real complicated. And then I will go and look, and I'll have to admit you to let you in. But I invite you to join if you're a small business and you'd like to connect and network with other small business owners. So thank you again for watching. I appreciate you being here. Thank you again, Tori, for coming on. Any last parting words?
Thank you, Stan.
All right.
Everybody have a great day out there.
Have a wonderful day, evening, afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are in the world, okay? So, Tori, hang on a minute. I'm going to end the broadcast, but hang on a minute. And